We're live and we're recording. Hi, I'm Carolyn Winter for World Peace Hologram, and I'm so glad you're here today. I'm doing session 2 in this series, Make Peace Personal in 2018. I'm hoping that you'll join me and bring all your friends and make 2 intentions for yourself. If you are at our blog, worldpeacehologram.com, you'll easily find my post for Make Peace Personal. And there's a form on every one of the posts that have that title. And you can put in 2 intentions. One for peace somewhere in the world that's important to you, and another as an intention for yourself for something you want to manifest in your life. Now, with all of these sessions, I am asking that you just place 2 intentions, and those same 2 intentions will be repatterned in all 12 of the sessions that we're hosting every month this year, on the first of every month. Okay, now a couple other little tips. Manifestation happens if you make it real specific. So I was looking over everybody's submissions just a little while ago, and we're getting a little better than last month, but I still see some vagueness in many of the statements submitted. Vague is fine. Then vague results is what you'll get out of the repatterning. And honestly, you can get a whole lot more energy back by making it a little bit more specific. For example, eliminating gun violence in America. Try naming your city or your state, something that's closer to you. Where in the U.S.? Like, narrow it down so that at the end of the year, when we take stock of did our intentions make a difference in the world, even though it sort of feels a bit like storytelling, we can do something as simple as a little Google search for before and after statistics on gun violence in your hometown. That's something like that. If you are one of the people who named animal rights or diminishing animal populations, name a population. Are you worried about dolphins or the right whale or something like that? Like, make it very specific, and so that the universe can really tap into it and send the energy to that place. We're doing 12 sessions this year. Each session will look at your 2 intentions and repattern it. And we're hoping to create a shift in peace throughout the planet doing this method. So I hope you'll continue to join me. So I'm going to whip out my piece of paper. You can't see it. It's to the side over here. I'll be taking notes there. Oh, there we go. And I'm doing a resonance repatterning session. So as I mentioned last month, and I'll try to get a little sub video going so you don't have to keep hearing this intro if you're joining us every month. But really, we're doing using a system of healing called resonance repatterning. It's a system anyone can learn to do for themselves, or if you're a practitioner and doing alternative healing, it's something you might learn for yourself. You can always look up more information about that, the trainings, at ozartist.com. And of course, practitioners like myself facilitate sessions for people, and you'll find a whole list of practitioners over at the Repatterning Practitioners Association.org. We use 2 tools in this method: muscle checking. It's from kinesiology. It's tapping into our energy field that taps into a higher wisdom that knows what we need for the system to improve. And we use a map that takes us to a series of catalogs of patterns that can be identified to help us shift and change. We say in resonance repatterning that what you resonate with is what you experience. So if you resonate with peace being disturbed in the world, then that's what you'll see in the news. That's what you'll experience in your neighborhood. That's what you'll experience in your country. And that's all you'll really notice if you don't resonate with peace, if you resonate with the opposite. If you resonate with peace, you'll start to see peace descending in different places. And honestly, one of the things that shifted for me, and being one of the practitioners doing this for quite some time, is poverty in the world. And it was astonishing to me to find that the UN, that sets a goal of lowering poverty worldwide by some kind of statistical indicator, had actually achieved its goal 5 years ahead of schedule. and had to actually reformulate their goal. So while we still have people living in impoverished conditions, the truth is, if you looked at how, if you compared to, say, 60 years ago or 100 years ago, the level of what the people experiencing at the bottom, at the worst of poverty, has improved. And so that's an indicator. I'm thinking, I wonder if these sessions had a hand in that. They achieved it faster than normal. So I'm hoping that we can totally eradicate poverty in my lifetime and a number of world peace issues. So let's just get to it and start chipping away at it. Of course, the second intention I asked you to submit is something for yourself. Again, I was looking over everybody's submissions and bit vague. We're being a bit vague. Don't be afraid to risk putting out something that you really want for yourself. Make a clear, tangible intention for something that you want. Maybe it's that new career. Maybe it's that new relationship. Maybe it's lose 15 pounds by bathing suit season. And maybe it's to clear up a major health issue. Whatever it is, be real specific so that when it happens, you know that your intention manifested. You can really measure it, so to speak. Even though when we do the measuring, it's all going to be anecdotal. But still, give it a college try and try to make your intentions a little more specific. So I'll be in touch with those of you who need a little coaching and give you some suggestions for what you might state instead. All right. Well, yeah, nevertheless, we have a lot of people participating, at least 25. So we'll see how this hologram is going to address peace today. So I'm muscle checking. Where do we need to begin? Of course, I'm using my map from the Resonance Repatterning System. We need orientation. We don't. We need to check on problems or the problem in the area of peace in the world. Not today. We need intentions. Not yet. We need to jump straight into a repatterning. We do. So for that, I'm checking my catalogs, and I'll just show you. There's my glass of water, but all of these catalogs represent the various trainings of resonance repatterning. And there's well over 100 different repatternings. There's something for every situation. So we need primary patterns, no. Unconscious patterns, no. Chakra patterns, meridian and 5 elements, relationships, visions, energetics. We do something from a book called The Energetics of Relationship. Great little set of repatternings, not so little, it's a big book here. The Energetics of Relationship. And there's a number of repatternings in here to do with relationships, hoping to use them for the upcoming Valentine's Day season. We need something from the source. No. The inductor. No. The capacitor. Yes. So it might be that we need to build a bigger holding tank. It's called a capacitor for energy, for peace. Let's see what it is we need. It's developmental phases of relationship, bonding and separation. No. It is to do, well, it's only one of those two things in that section. So we need to read about it. No, we need to read about the power of the capacitor. We don't. We need to look at the developmental phases of relationship, bonding and separation. It might be we just need a little bit of something there. We'll see. We need to read about bonding and separation. We don't. Talk a little bit about bonding and separation. Well, this is an interesting repatterning. If you were to see me for a session in person, in this repatterning, we look at how are your relationships in the present impacted by how you bonded when you were first born. So the very, very important first moments in a person's life is when they're first born and the first couple of years. How you bond with your primary caregiver, typically your mother, has everything to do with how your relationships are working out today. And if it was a rocky start, sometimes you were premature or mom got sick and was hospitalized or taken away or had to go back to work right away, living in crowded conditions because it's a young couple just starting out. there's any number of factors involved can really impact the bond between a mother and child. And then consequently, if it's not really resolved, then it'll keep coming up in irksome ways the rest of your life, so that you can improve how you relate to other people through bonding and separation. So it isn't that we need to do this whole repatterning. So starting with present relationships. So I'm going to try to do this repatterning on the topic of world peace, where maybe the humanity itself is the client. And so we'll just check. What problem are we facing? So the problem is peace is lacking in the world, or peace is disturbed in the world. So we'll start with that. Peace in the world is disturbed. Now, do we need to add more to this statement? We do. And is it some of the things that people have submitted? It is. So let me just go get my list here and see what we can do with that. It's to do with this list, this short list of specific items. So it is. So I'll check. It's 1, 2, 3 items. So peace is disturbed because of the famine crisis for children in Africa, Yemen. That item, no. Gun violence. All right, so it's gun violence, particularly in the USA, and we need to each name a city specific to us. So I'm going to put in is the gun violence, and you can name for yourself where you have noticed gun violence is particularly troublesome. And then that's where we'll focus the energy, particularly in USA. And then I'm going to put in here, in the notes, you'll see a place where you can fill in the blank. Name a city. And I'm going to check. It's the East Coast, West Coast, Northern states, Central states, Southern states. Maybe it's Florida, Texas. So we've got Texas. Big cities I can think of is Houston, Austin. We need to look up a city in Texas. Well, let's just do a quick little search and see what Mr. Google would suggest is a city that needs attention. Gun violence in Texas. Highest rate, cities with highest rate. How about that? Cities with highest rate gun violence in Texas. And what do we get? Which Texas City is the most dangerous? And we get Odessa, Corpus Christi, Beaumont, followed by Houston. So it's one of these cities that we need to use as a proxy. It's Dallas, San Antonio, Killeen, Lubbock, Brownsville, Amarillo, Houston, Beaumont, Texas. I couldn't even tell you where that is, but we're going to use that as a proxy. But you can choose a city that's meaningful for you. Maybe it's your city. Maybe it's the place where you grew up, or where you have family. A city with gun violence. We need to list any other peace issues. We don't. So this one issue, gun violence in a particular city, Beaumont, Texas, we're using at the moment as a, for example. We're proxying the group for this. Gun violence, particularly in the USA, Beaumont, Texas. We resonate with having it. So we're on for that. I'm putting that in the notes. And this is a proxy for all the other statements. So all the issues that all of you have submitted, they're all counted in. Okay. Now, on to the next one here. All right, so we have our peace issue. We're doing the bonding and separation stress repatterning, and the issue, the present relationship issue, is gun violence in a particular city, Beaumont, Texas, as the proxy. This proxy is everybody's peace intention, or peace issue rather. So now we're going to check on the earlier experience of bonding and separation stress that prevents the natural inflow of energy for the relationship. So again, as I mentioned earlier, bonding at birth is really important for our for developing our relationships. So again, this would be quite different if it was you here with me doing a session for you personally. We're going to adapt this. So let's see what comes up. We need 1 through 5. It's statement number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So it says it's a kind of a multiple choice thing here. So I'm checking the options. After I'm born, I cannot connect with my mother because I'm physically separated, can't hear her, can't smell her, can't hear her voice, can't feel entrained with her breathing. That's the one. So let's write that down as the birth issue here. It's after I am born, I cannot connect with my mother because I can't feel or entrain with her breathing. And we resonate on for that statement. So that might be true for many of us in the group, us personally, and at some level it might be true of all of Texas or Beaumont, Texas, or the area of peace that you're looking at. You'd have to extrapolate that and imagine it. How does that apply? But I'm sure if you thought about that, you can figure out an answer. I'm just making sure I wrote this out correctly. After I'm born, I cannot connect. A little spelling error there with my mother. Okay, wonderful. All right, so that's C. And now, was there a stress? We need to check on a separation stress. So we couldn't bond with her mother, but we could. We seem to have learned how to separate naturally. We don't need any issue statements there. And we need to look at what happens when there's the bonding stress. What does that do to our boundaries and our energy field? So it says here that if we have bonding stress, it'll lead to weak boundaries with a depleted energy field. So we feel taken advantage of and tired a lot of the time. So we need number 1, number 2. It's being overwhelmed by sight, sound, smell, too much touch, by people. Say that. This is the statement that we're using. I feel overwhelmed by people. And we resonate with that. And that's on. So there we go. So somehow that's related to gun violence, and you can just look back at some of those gun violence stories that have been popping up in the news and what was happening with the people. Typically, they've had a mental illness. Maybe being overwhelmed with people was part of it. We need to look at lack of coherent bonding. Oh, the behaviors and feelings that are associated with this. So it's 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's uneasily controlled by others, and we're on for that. I am easily controlled by others. So that's a statement that's coming up. And now we need to check on how this affects our energy fields via the chakras, the chakra energy centers. And there's an impact at the earth chakra, water, fire, air, ether. So ether is the throat chakra, our ability to express and to be heard, to have faith, to be connected to the divine, and to channel creative expressive ideas from the divine. So the statement is, so it's being impacted. So it's the energy is being disrupted somehow. And it comes out as the quality of 1, 2. So somebody's way of talking, conversation, overloads my system, jars my system. So I'm going to put a blank. Blank's way of conversation. Blank's conversation. Blank's conversation. Overload. Oh no, jars my system. Jars my system. And so we need to fill in the blank for someone. And we don't. So it might be somebody in your sphere, in your world. Who do you know of that it's kind of difficult to listen to them because when you hear the conversation, you feel a bit jolted by them. Um, I know sometimes when I hear our political leaders talking, that jars my system. So I'm just going to put that in political leaders' conversations. Some political leaders, okay, some political. All right, so maybe we should be real specific here. So when I hear Trump, Mr. Trump, no. It's somebody in the US, yes. Jars my system. Well, I guess that could be something different for everybody. What is something so so I think we'll just leave that as a blank. So it's different for each person. So somebody's conversation jars my system. We're on for that. And so name who it is in your life. It could be someone political or on the world stage that you don't know personally, or it might be, yes, here in Canada, I would say it's local conservatives. Local conservatives. Local conservative candidates. Okay, there's a specific one. I've thought of something. Candidates. Conversation jars my system, and I'm on for that. Okay. And what else? We need something else from 1 through 4. We don't. So that's how it impacts our chakra, our ether chakra. Now we need to look at the lack of boundary response. We need to identify the inflexible boundary response to a lack of coherent separation. No, so we don't have a separation problem, but we do have a bonding problem. So it's hard to bond with a conservative candidate whose conversation jars my system, for example, or I'm easily controlled by others, or I feel overwhelmed by people. So it's hard to stay bonded and then really, have a coherent um, community, like relationships, community, and city without gun violence to keep spiraling that out. So we need to check on how the non-coherent bonding pattern creates stress in our present relationships. And there's about 21 different ways that can happen. So I'm checking from the list. It's 1 through 5, 6 through 10. It's number 6, number 7. All right, number 7. I have to work hard to keep someone's love. So it's different for each person. So this is another fill in the blank. So don't you just love this? We have a group session that you can make it real personal to you. And this statement, it's a non-coherent way that bonding stress is impacting us. I have to work hard. Um, I have to work hard to keep someone's love. So name the someone for you. I have to work hard to keep. Let's see, and for the group, who can we name for the group? To keep my family, my friends, my colleagues. Um, so it's something to do for world peace, so sort of at a higher level, to work hard to keep somebody's love. Who could that be? So I'm just going to tune into the hologram here and see what we want. Right? To work hard to keep somebody's love. To work hard. Hmm. To keep. Now we need to amend that. I have to work hard for world peace to happen. So we're going to amend that a little bit. For world peace. For world peace. It might be that you are one of these people who have joined a number of causes and you're working tirelessly, and maybe you're working too much. So I have to work hard to keep up the cause. We're on for that. Okay. We need to check on a coherent bonding quality that will build a strong energy charge in a well-functioning relationship capacitor. So, in fact, I meant to come back to that point. Bonding, those little interactions between mother and child builds a field of energy called a capacitor that is filled with energy that can last us a lifetime. And it's just the little incidences back and forth every day. The mom saying, wash your hands, say please and thank you, um, go do your homework, and all of that. Those lovely little back and forth shepherding kind of comments are meant to come from a place of love and care and compassion. And those little interchanges back and forth, the child coming back with drawn pictures or asking questions or saying, no, I don't want to do all that. Those little back and forth, that's what builds the energy of the relationship and the capacitor. And so let's see what we need for this capacitor on a world stage. So we need number one. I trust that all my needs are taken care of in a way that supports my highest interests. We're off for that. So let's write that one out. I trust that all my needs are taken care of in a way that supports my highest interests. And we're off for that. Right. Gun violence doesn't just happen overnight. Any kind of violence in the world doesn't happen for a good reason. When you trace it back, it comes back to something. I remember years ago in Vancouver, some of the worst gangs were studied for quite a long time, and it was the children of the Vietnam refugees that had come over the 70s and landed and were grateful to be alive, and then faced the next nightmare of not being accepted. And the children that were abandoned or orphaned and had no community, no connection, form their own form of group so that they can belong to something. And the primary group quality was violence. So it all comes from someplace. Everybody wants to belong, and they'll find a way to belong to something. So yeah, I trust that all my needs are taken care of. If everyone in the country had their needs taken care of, if we were a caring society to make sure that everybody has the resources to take care of themselves and their loved ones, then there's less need for going out and creating violence in the world. All right, we're coming to near the end of this repatterning, bonding, separation repatterning. There's an action needed. No, there's something really that we need to look at this list of 1 to 18 things. There is not, so we don't need that. All right, we need the 5-to-1 ratio of the language of love for building a strong capacitor supports. So we do. Okay, so the 5-to-1 ratio. So this is from John Gottman. He's a researcher about who's investigated the success of long-term relationships. What makes a long-term relationship successful, or how do they get to be long-term? And among all of his findings and studies, one of the ones certainly cited in this repatterning is something called the 5-to-1 ratio. And that's where between two people that are bonded together, there is a ratio of 5 positive interactions to every 1 negative interaction. And the 5 positive interactions can be simple things like a tap on the shoulder to say, honey, I'm going to the store for milk, or did you lock the back door? or just a, a hug, or a gaze across the room, or just saying someone's name in a pleasant way, or good morning, something like that. Those are interchanges that count as positive interactions. But for every 5 of those, we need one that seems slightly discordant, because the non-coherent interaction is the one for a couple that is very growth oriented and willing to learn and change and grow, that causes them to resolve the issue, and and both energy fields grow as a result. If you don't have that one seemingly disparate quality, then you get to be a bit bored with each other. So yeah, there's no growth in the relationship. It runs the risk of becoming stagnant. So, what do we need for this 5-to-1 ratio to create peace in the world and manifest our own intentions? Well, we need touch, no. Eye gazing, no. Love expressed in words, no. Love expressed in positive action, love expressed in gifts, in fun and laughter, in time spent together. So, this is our statement. We spend time with each other, enjoying each other's company, and we're off for that. We spend time with each other, enjoying each other's company, and we're off. And we need something that supports the challenging interaction. So that's the bonding, the 5 good statement, the 5 positive interactions. We need something for the challenging one. Well, we do. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3. Challenges, downs of life. I use problems. So this is it. Yes. So here's our statement. I use problems for our mutual growth and to activate our potential to reconnect with more love. And we're off for that. Imagine if we applied that to trade negotiations or to any kind of international negotiations. So I use problems for our mutual growth and to activate our potential to reconnect with love. And we're off for that. Okay, so now we need to identify bonding actions that support this 5-to-1 ratio. We do not. All right, I think that's the end of this repatterning, if I'm not mistaken. It is. So we need something else then from the repatterning system. We need another repatterning. No, we need a spiral up tool, an action, and an orientation. Yes. So for orientation, it's something to orientate to ourselves. We need to orientate to others. We do. So we need to orientate to others. And the statement needed is C little a, B. It's entrainment. Again, that's that nice concept of one field of energy combining fields with another field of energy. The amplitude doubles. That means when you're in an entrained field of energy, as we are in this World Peace Hologram session, there's way more energy for any one intention to manifest. So think of your world peace issue when I say this statement, and that we're entrained for accomplishing. So here's the statement: we pulse together for trust, understanding, bonding with love, and attaining a higher energy state of vitality and joy. And we're off for that. Vitality and joy. And we're off. We need another orientation statement. We don't. We need a modality now for this. Not yet. We need something else from orientation, problems, intentions. We need to look at intentions. We have a lot. Not yet. We need repatterning, modalities, some sort of positive action is needed from this book. Yes. So it's interesting. So positive actions are something we typically do after a session to help integrate the session. And by having it come up during the session, we're counting on you doing this action. It's something that you will do to help integrate the session. And that energy kind of percolates back to the present time here and supports the shift that's going to happen in this session. So we need 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, relaxation and joy. 239. Let's go to that page and see what it wants of us. 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. Something from 1 through 9, 10, 12, 13. It's smiling. So that's the action. And we need more details about this smiling. It's about smiling when we're out in the world and making a conscious effort to smile at people that we don't know. It is. So smile like, say, the grocery store clerk or the bus driver or somebody who holds the door open for you. It's amazing to me how many people walk around with a really grim face, like you can tell that they're crunching something in their mind, but it has nothing to do with you. But they kind of look unfriendly. And I'm sure that they don't mean to be unfriendly. But all that can shift radically when somebody breaks a smile or even takes a breath. I find just standing waiting for the elevator, everybody's just kind of, clinging to stuff and just take a breath and relax, and you can just see everybody else kind of mellow out as well. So, so that's our job, is to do this consciously for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days before the next session. So on 3 different days, sometime in the month of February, pick your 3 days and make it your smiling day. And make a point of being out and about in the world and smile at people. I mean, don't stalk them and freak them out. Just do it gracefully and naturally as you're interfacing with the world, like cashing out at the store, or getting onto a bus, or holding a door for somebody, or helping somebody with their dog in the park. Make a point of smiling. Okay. And we need anything else? No. So I'm going to make our positive action to have 3 smiling days. And I'll put some details about that into the notes. 3 smiling days. And see what that does for you. I suspect it'll be as beneficial for you as it will be for the people receiving your warm and wonderful smile. You can really feel love radiating from yourself, and that whole idea of putting it into the hologram for peace when you smile. Okay. All right. Well, that's a powerful positive action. We need a modality, like a spiral up tool at this point. We do. So we need it from using Chloe Wurzer's book, The Spiral Up. 127 options to be your best right now. Let's see what we can do for the planet. All right, we need a process option, a sound option, a color option, a movement, a breath. It's an energy contact, and it would be 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's an acupuncture point called a mu point, and we'll go right there. And it's bilateral, yes. 2, 10. Although, I think I just lost the page. 220, page 220. Okay, page 220. And It's one of these points. So here's our, if you went to see an acupuncturist and they were doing mu points, here's the map of what it would look like. But I'm going to check if which particular one we need. It's lung, it's gallbladder, it's liver, it's spleen. It's the spleen meridian. You know, the spleen meridian, when it's doing its job well, it distributes energy throughout the system where the system needs the nourishment and the energy. So we need, and its sound, it has a consonant sound of H. So we need to do the actual consonant sound. We don't. We just need to contact it. So it's kind of at the, you know where the spleen is, at the side of your body. I'm going to show you this chart and let you locate the spleen meridian yourself. It's kind of over there, and it's on both sides of the body, even though there's only one spleen. But the meridian point itself is mirrored on the other side as well. So take a little finger, your pointy finger on each hand, and left hand on left side, right hand on right side. Hold these to this point here at the side for the spleen meridian. Let's make sure I got that right. Yeah, it's sort of like, looks like it's by the crease of the elbow when your arms are hanging down there. Okay, so there it is right there. And we need to hold this. I'm going to use the chart to proxy all of you, or hologram. And I'm using both points, both sides. I'm sorry I can't have it on the screen while I'm doing that. And we're going to, I'm looking for my clock here. We're going to do this for 1 minute, 2 minutes. So for 2 full minutes in silence, just breathe in the energy of healing, send it to that point on your spleen meridian, and breathe and relax. Well, I'll note the time here. So we're doing this for 3 minutes, quite a long time. And keep breathing, stay with your breath. And keep holding that spleen mu point. Almost good to just watch your breath as you're staying in silence. Yeah, we have a few more seconds left. And this is complete. You can slowly take your fingers away from those mu points. This healing modality is complete. Take a deep integrating breath now. Great. And then just check in and see how you feel in your body. I always sort of feel a little bit of expansion of, it feels like space around my head somehow, like something's just expanded. Okay. And I'm going to go scrolling right back to the top of our notes for this evening and check on our statements. So we need to check peace in the world is disturbed because of gun violence, particularly in the USA. And you're to name a city, we're using Beaumont, Texas as a proxy for all statements. And we're now cleared for gun violence. Okay, now we're doing bonding and separation stress. These are the patterns that underlie our peace issues. After I'm born, I cannot connect with my mother because I can't feel or entrain with her breathing, and that's cleared. I feel overwhelmed with people. That is now cleared. I'm easily controlled by others. Cleared. Excellent. I local. So put in a name for you here. For me, it'd be a local conservative candidate's conversation jars my system, and we're cleared for that. I have to work hard to keep the world. I have to work hard to keep peace in the world, and we're cleared for that. And this is a case of working smarter, not harder. Okay. So say, I trust that all my needs are taken care of in a way that supports my highest interest. We are on for that. And we spend time with each other, enjoying each other's company. We're on for that. I use problems for our mutual growth and to activate our potential and to reconnect with more love. And we're on for that. And we pulse together for trust, understanding, bonding with love, and attaining a higher energy state of vitality and joy. And we're on for that. So we need to do the smiling for 3 days, but I'm just checking. We didn't do anything about our own personal intentions. We need to add in a little something for that in this session. No, we need to check our personal intentions. We don't. They are included in this session. They are being addressed, but we didn't need to specifically name them or check them in the session tonight. So there you go. Well, keep working on your statement. Make it a little bit more specific, fine tune it a little bit more. We have our positive action, 3 smiling days to help create peace in the world. So try to do that. Pick your 3 days in the month of February and spend those days consciously smiling when you go out to the world. Smile at people who open the door for you, open the door for someone else. Smile at the person at the cashier counters, smile at the bus attendant, smile at the people in the park or in your building or on your street. Smile and see how the world improves with peace. Okay, well, this is Carolyn Winter. I'd like to really thank you all for attending. Any of you who are still here live and would like to just help me figure out a few of the controls here, if you happen to be on what do they call it? Gmail. If you have a Gmail account, I believe you need a Gmail account. It may be that at this moment you can see a chat box on the bottom of your screen. And if you can, I'd love for you to just put something in, just say hello in the chat box. I'd like to see how this feature works. So if you're there, put in I'll just put in a hello, and you'll see my name is popped up with hello. Could you put something in there? Put in world peace if you're watching. No takers. So it might be that you're not even on Gmail. So that's a likelihood. I'll have to get somebody on Gmail to try this out with me someday. So I just thought I'd try that out. Well, again, this is Carolyn Winter. Thanks for listening. Let's keep putting peace out there in the world, and I'll see you next month on March 1st. Bye for now.